The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Thank you, Tally Olson. I am back. You are comfortably zoned with me, the Zig Zag Man. Alameda, California, right across the bay from San Francisco, across the moat from Oakland. And I'm in the great state of California. My guest is my wonderful friend, Sam Stith. He's in Arizona. How are you, sir?
So far, so good. Just weathering the heat.
Yeah. I can imagine. I've been to Arizona, but never with temperatures of 107. Is that crazy?
114, 115.
Oh, Jesus. But you're making it through. What's the one thing you're doing to protect yourself? And I hope you say it's dehydration.
Stay inside.
Stay inside and keep hydrated if you go out.
And go to a cool movie. Sit there for 2.5 hours. Used to be an old saying: you can fry an egg on the sidewalk. Here you can fry a whole breakfast: eggs, bacon, sausage, everything on the sidewalk.
Right. And literally, it's crazy. Climate change. Sam,
it's all over like this. Not just here. It's all over. It's not just here. Unfortunately, like in Hawaii, they're going through some changes there. My goodness, it's just been unbelievable.
Right. Sam, we're both from New York. Nothing can replace that. But I'd like to talk to you about where you were from in New York. And Harlem. Wow. Got out of Harlem. What's your expression? If you could get out of Harlem, you can get out anywhere.
Yeah.
What do you miss most about growing up in New York?
Well, what happened, we're from Virginia, and we moved to Harlem in 1947. It was very, very erratic there, drugs and everything, 1947. Ironically enough, Ralph, when Tom and I got to Harlem, we had never saw basketball, by the way. Down in Virginia, not unheard of. And we got there, and I was 10 and Tom was 8, but everybody in the neighborhood was playing this game of basketball. And we sort of felt left out, So in grammar school, Mr. Rickstone, the coach, asked us to come up to the gym and play basketball. We had no idea what we were doing. But he started off showing the ropes. My brother Tom, gifted, he picked up right away. It took me a little bit longer. And but the neighborhood kids looked out for us. They said, look, we're going to train you and show you what they got to do. And then we'll go to junior high school. Right, and we made the team there. And then there was a famous team in Harlem called the Lucky Sevens. It was a junior and a senior team, and they put us on the junior team. With some neighborhood guys, right? But growing up then, what I best remembered is that how everybody came to our aid. And somehow we were lucky that we were helped by a lot of guys. As I always say, there's a lot of people who help you on your way up, and they don't realize it, But it was very dangerous, because heroin was a big thing then. With the needles in the arms, guys fainting on the subways, it was very bad. But we were lucky. And Freddie Crump.
Sam, we've talked a lot. I've never asked you about marijuana, cannabis, in those days. Did it exist in Harlem?
Nope. Heroin. Heroin was the big thing. That was the heavy duty stuff, marijuana has always been around, but the heavy duty stuff was heroin, and all the drug dealers, they made them superstars. Growing up then, there's only two heroes that you might call, right? You had the basketball players, then you had the drug pushers. And the kids responded to the drug pushers like they were stars because they ride up in their beautiful Cadillacs. Ross, example, we're the Rucker. We're playing the Rucker, right, 155th Street. The double parked cars was all Cadillacs, new Cadillacs. And they belong to the guys. Kids want to be, oh, wow, how did I get one of those? And then it becomes very bad. So the heroes was the local basketball players. You know, we introduced the pros to the Rucker with Freddie and Bob McCullough. But before that was just college guys in high schools. So it brought the pros in, and ironically enough, I'm talking about the Bill Bradley and Willis Reed, but the heroes were still the local kids who could play and couldn't get into colleges and stuff, into private colleges. But they was fan favorite. And then you came the drug dealers. And talk about some street ball players that never made it into the pros, maybe never made it into college, but my God, they impressed you. What you had then, Ralph, you had players back then, and I'm doing sort of a journal. Back then, black ball players, most of them only went to black colleges, right? They were never invited to go to the private colleges. Tom and I created their program of integrating private colleges. The only problem when they went to the black colleges, with all due respect, they was just there to play basketball. You know, that's all. No school, no nothing. You follow me? So then guys were just playing in the tournament, and I'm talking about, these are some great basketball players, Ralph. I'm talking about, I would have put them in the status of superstars in some of these guys. You follow me? The Joe Hammers in them. They superstars, showmen. They knew this game, by the way, and they were playing the game their whole lives. But they were above and beyond the regular ball players. But back then, don't forget, NBA wasn't letting minorities into the league, until Earl and Coop did it. But they missed the boat.
And when they did, there was a quota.
Big quota. I got caught up in the quota, which today I'm over it now. But back then, the rule, you only can have but so many minorities, black guys on your team, and only no more than 2 starters at the same time. Red Auerbach changed that, though. They don't allow to have 2 starters and limited of how many you can have on a team, period. Back then, I'm playing at 61.
Red Auerbach changed all of that. Am I correct?
Red says, I'm playing ball players. I don't care about their color. And I hate to say it, but he's in one of the most racist towns you want to play in, there in St. Louis, right? But he changed it. And then in Philadelphia, we got to remember something. At one time, the Celtics was the first team to put 5 black guys to the starting 5, right? 2 weeks later, they played Philadelphia, who had 5 black stars. You had 10 black players playing in the same game. The league went bonkers, man. I'm telling you something. They went out of their minds of what the hell's going on here, And here's, ironically, those are some great ball players and entertainers, right? Most of your crowd was Caucasians. There was hardly any blacks going to games, But they became, but right then you had the street ball players that was phenomenal. But first of all, they couldn't get into regular colleges. Right, and no ones were scouting black colleges. So we got lucky with Earl and them and Joe Carter coming out of black colleges and stuff. But
Sam Jones comes to mind.
Yeah, out of North Carolina, but they weren't scouting black colleges. And then when Earl Monroe came to the league, they said, "Oh, wait a minute, where is he from? Winston-Salem." Now let's take a look at some of the black colleges. Period. In the NBA, right? At one time, you had about 5 or 6 guys from black colleges, But but the kids wasn't motivated. Street kids, they weren't motivated to go any further than just playing street ball. That was it. They didn't want to think about college education. And they, by the way, Dewey, Clinton, Commerce, those public high schools had some of the best of the best. Ironically enough, Dolph Shays went to Dewey Clinton. He was the star of the NBA, right? But back then you had Commerce, you had Harron, you had all the black high schools. from PSAL, some of the best players was in the PSAL, public high schools. Unbelievable.
Right.
But
right. You get a GO card every year.
GO card gets you a discount to the garden.
Right. And it also got you on the bus.
It got you on the GO was a good card. It was a good card, right? But you had powerhouses. Benjamin Franklin High School turned out a lot of athletes. Went to Niagara and stuff like that. But back then, I hate to keep talking about it because these drug dealers, you found them, they were killing these kids. Don't forget, these kids don't have money, so they got to steal in order to get the drugs. They steal the grocery store. They pickpocket. They do everything they could to get the money to support their habit. And they used to give out free drugs. They used to give kids free drugs. You follow me? Just to test it with them and their friends. It was. We were lucky because we had guys that weren't on the drugs. We just had a social club. We were social, basketball players, softball. But it was hectic, but it was a learning lesson. And I wish everybody could have grew up in Hollow. We never look back.
Now you and Sam and Tom, and we're talking about Tom Stith,
right.
and Sam. You were from Virginia, and you got a late start. When did you know that you were caught up, if you will?
Okay.
In other words, you could compete.
Okay.
What
happened?
You both realize at the same time, or did you?
It came quick. What happened was we're playing. Let's put it this way: we're playing the Lucky 7 Juniors, right?
Right.
And we should beat the seniors, the older guys. And they made us come to the seniors. We didn't want to go. But here's the turning point of our lives, Ralph. Here's the turning point of our lives. We're playing in junior high school 139 on the team, right? And we're doing very well. Somehow, someone invited us to the scrimmage against this private high school in Brooklyn, the number one private Catholic school in North America, St. Francis Prep. Okay? What they did is we got on the subway, went out to play them. We walk into the gym, beautiful gym, with all white guys, nice white uniforms, and we were ragamuffins, as my grandma used to say. We had mismatched sneakers. And they wanted to make it like a real game. They were city champions, by the way. They just wanted city champion. And they want to make it like a real game with a clock and a referee. We said, all right. Now, on that team, there's a player, if you look him up, was Joe Quigg. Joe Quigg played on North Carolina when they beat Chamberlain at Kansas. He's the one who stole the ball.
With Lenny Rosenbluth.
My man, Lenny the shooter. He takes 28 shots a game to get 10 points. But I knew him from high school. I knew all about him. But so we beat them by about 15 points, and we beat them, if you know what I mean. Because we grew up in Harlem, and we should get a beating. I'll tell you something. At the nighttime community center, we used to get a beating, Tom and me, and we used to get a beat from the older guys, and we beat them, okay? And we left. We saw nothing of it, and we had another game that night. And lo and behold, Brother Timothy, who's in heaven, from St. Francis Prep, opened up the doors for us. He called and says, I want to give you guys scholarships to play ball here, right? And we didn't know, I couldn't spell scholarship, Ralph. And he gave us a scholarship, to go there. And my sister said, it's a package deal. One go, the other go. They said, no, we're taking both of them. The problem with that was that I was graduating junior high school. I was going to go to Commerce, by the way, because I wanted to play with Kyle Ramsey. Tom was here. But they put Tom on the freshman team and put me on the varsity. They skipped me from junior high, JV, right to the varsity. And I couldn't figure it out. You follow me? So what happened was they didn't tell us that it was an all-white school. And we got outside waiting to go in. I looked around, and there was only one other black there. So it was three of us, me, Tom, and Willie. Guy named was Willie, right? And we thought nothing of it. Scared. Don't forget, we're scared first time. So what happened when the season started, here comes the situation. When the season started, they put Tom on the freshman team. I'm on the varsity, and I walk into the dressing room against the same guys that we beat up on. Exact same team.
Wow.
They didn't speak to me. They ain't welcome me to the team or nothing, including the coach, by the way. So I just sat in the corner and said, well, I guess they couldn't take a joke. But they tried little things in practice, you know, it didn't work. You know, it was pretty bad, I'll be honest with you. I wanted to transfer. But I asked Tom, when the season started, I was 10th man on the bench, right? And Tom was on the freshman team. And by the way, we not only integrated the high school, but the whole league never had a minority in it. The whole league, Catholic High School League in Brooklyn, never had. So what happened with Tom, my brother, who was the greatest you'll ever want to play, great ball player, he was killing them. And they said, we want him out the league. We don't want him on the freshman team. So they jumped him up to the varsity, right? Here's the problem. He became the 10th man. I became the 11th man. we never got a game into garbage time. Okay, Ralph? And John McKenna told me one time, when you start talking about yourself now, it's telling a story. It's not bragging. And let me tell you something. He got in with 3 minutes ago. I got in with 2 minutes ago, and it was showtime. It was show. And the team didn't like that. It was showtime, right? And during the games, they got a little upset because during the games, everybody kept being able to put them brothers in. And it stayed like that for a whole year. And the Daily News had an article that if those guys on the team next year, they're going undefeated. The other team had graduated, and we started the next year with 31-0, and the following year 32-1. And we were learning. We're still playing outside ball, right? And we were learning as we go. You might call it a quick learn. From age 10 to 14, we were scholarships in high school in those short time of period because we had guys in the neighborhood, you know, on the local guys who were showing us how to play basketball, tough basketball, defense ball player. That's how it started. And then the St. Bonaventure called. I didn't know, you know, we're the first African American to play there also. But we were learning in the street and how to play in those private institutions. Next thing you know, Tom and I, we brought another guy from Harlem, Bobby Jenkins from Harlem, right? And he became one of the stars while Tom and I were playing. Asked Lou Conner-Secker one time, but Bobby Jenkins made at the championship game in the Garden against St. Anne's with Willie Hall and York Arisi and them. Bobby Jenkins stole the ball and dunked at the buzzer to beat him by 1. And we ran off the court. But he then we had Tony Greer who can Lloyd Dove ended up going to St. John's and then the Detroit Pistons. God rest his soul. He had a major accident with his car, passed away. But a lot of guys.
We're talking about Sonny Dove, right?
Sonny Dove. Sonny Dove. Right.
Oh, man. I'm a kid coming up. I saw a lot of St. John's. Alan Seiden, Sonny Dove.
I love Seiden.
Yeah, he was a good guy. He was a mutual friend of mine, a guy named Paul Graniff. And Paul Graniff was the best fast-pitch softball pitcher in New York City. And I think he inherited some of Seiden's competitiveness. Seiden was a scrapper.
Love Seiden.
Yeah.
He rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. But I played with Alan in the Eastern League, you know. But Alan was a hell of a ball player. Should have played in the NBA. He should have been in there. But at the time, there was a problem, you know, having Jewish ball players, believe it or not, in the NBA also at the same time. Everybody forgot about that. You know?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that.
That was an issue as well. There was a kid named Barry Leibowitz.
I knew Barry.
Oh, wow. I went to summer camp with him, and he was a good guy, a drummer, a partier, and a terrific basketball player.
Yep.
He played in the ABA. I don't remember if he played with Denver. Oh, okay. Did you play with Doug Moe at all?
Let me tell you a Doug Moe story, okay?
Okay.
We had a club team called the New York Gems, okay? A guy named Mike Teinberg, right? You worked for 20th Century Fox. What a team we had, right? You had Tony Jackson, you might know that name. We had Tommy Davis. Remember Tommy Davis?
Baseball player. Yeah. He played with Lenny Wilkins, and he played a little baseball, too, if I recall.
Look. With Tommy Davis, we had Tom and Doug Moe was on the team, okay? Doug Moe was on the team. He was on the team, right? He was on the team, and with a super team, Willie Hall with a super team, right? And a funny thing happened, right? I come off the bench. You know how you get in the zone? I come off and the Steinberg was giving out trophies. By then, we loved to have a trophy. Got to have a trophy, right? So, so we're playing. So I come off the bench, right? And I'm in the zone, like 5 straight jump shots. I'm in the zone. For the whole series, I'm on fire. It's coming off the bench. So when the tournament is over, we won it, obviously. And Mike is going to, by the way, he should come to Harlem and pick us up, Mike Teinberg, me and Tom. He'd come to Harlem and pick us up, right? And so at the end of the game, he's giving out the trophies. He said, most valuable player is Sam Stith, right? Okay. And the sportsmanship ball goes to Doug Moe, the trophy. Everybody at the dressing room just looked at me. You follow me? I ain't say nothing. I was hurt, right? So we got in the car, and Mike is taking to dinner. He says, you know, I couldn't give everybody know my relationship with you guys. I just can't give both of y'all trophies. I go, why not? Right? So,
did you look over at Tom?
He had no answer. Yeah. I had a better tournament than both of them. And Lou Conasecca, we played Lou Conasecca. You know, he had a club team too, right? And Lou go, what is this about? Everybody don't know you can play. I says, I don't care. It's no effect. Let them keep thinking that. You follow me? Mm-hmm. But and Doug. Now, Doug, let me tell you about Doug. I didn't think he was a good ball player. I didn't think he was, but he went on to college, North Carolina, right? Yep, North Carolina. The subway. They used to call it the subway to North Carolina. And then he became one of the best coaches in the NBA. And I speak to Fat Lever. You know, he's out here. Fat played for him. I said, that guy, he don't care about no defense. He said, run and shoot. Because he came out of the ABA. Run and shoot. He lasted a long time in the NBA, Doug Moe coaching. But a real lovable guy, funny guy. And, you know, I met him a couple of times, you know. But he took my trophy, Ralph.
You still remember that.
Some things you do not. I don't know what I had for dinner last night, but I know what happened years ago.
Right. But I call it selective memory, and it serves you.
Yep. Yeah,
if you have that, you can say, in an argument with the wife, you could say, I don't remember.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. We had a good, Freddie. We had a good run. We had a good run in Harlem, and we had a good run in college. We did the whole trifecta. We did everything. From pros, high school to college to pros, and it's one league that's no one hardly talk about. As I spoke to you about, guys couldn't get into the NBA because of their color. And throw the Jewish in there too, because I used to talk to John Goldner, who's the guy, the God loved John Goldner, because he's the one who gave us our trophies at the end of the games when we won the championship. And he said, you know, we got to find a way, Sam, to get some Jewish ball players in here. And, you know, he tried Barry Kramer. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
And one of my main players, one of my main friends, Art Heyman. You follow me? And
yes,
they kept trying on that line. But Eastern Basketball League was a graveyard for black basketball players. When I left the Knicks and went to Eastern League, I could not believe the players there. Phenomenal players. Sonny Hill, you know that name, right?
Yes.
Wally,
yes.
I like this, but they couldn't get a shot to go into the. They tried. I get an example. When I'm in the Knicks camp, I had a no-cut contract, but Walt Simon out of the Rucker, he was my roommate, and he did not have a bad camp. He was beating Johnny Green, Willie Knowles, and then the day before we break camp, they released him. He was one of odd black out. But
right.
God worked in mysterious ways. He went into the ABA and met Kentucky Colonel and became big executive with KFC. We had a steadily in the ABA. But back then, but the Eastern Basketball League, I'm like, by the way, it's mixed. A lot of white guys too, you know, that could have went into the NBA, you know. Matter of fact, one of them, Bill Spivey, I think he did go to the NBA. But phenomenal players. And, and the league the score was 160 to 140. And on any given night, you got to fight, you know. So it was tough league.
Yeah, and you had to provide your own transportation. You
drive on. You work on the week. You drive on weekends. You drive there on weekends. 2 games, Saturday and Sunday. Good payday, by the way. It's a good payday. You go there. You play Saturday and Sundays. Yeah, Wilkes-Barre, Allentown. I'll be honest with you. I left there because it was getting dangerous. Driving in the wintertime to Pennsylvania. Route 22 and all. No, it got almost had 2 or 3 accidents, so I finally just gave it up. I was with the Harlem Wizards. For like 5 years.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Celebrating 55 years next month. 55 years of Harlem Wizards.
Wow.
Yeah. They were a show team. They were like the Trotters. We were like the Trotters, you know. So Howie Davis was the owner, but we had a show team. We had a nice team. We had a lot of players play. Connie Hawkins played for us.
Yeah.
Tony Jackson. Yeah. A lot of good ball players. Pablo Robertson and Bobby Hunter and Pablo Robertson eventually was picked up by the Globetrotters and playing from us.
I want to know how good Connie Hawkins' reputation would have been looking back if he had played in the NBA in his prime. Just like the same question would go, what would Tom Stith have been remembered as if he had not been ill?
If he didn't get sick, he'd have made the All-Star team every year. You follow me? He'd have made the All-Star team. There's I'm going to speak to you on this because you and I talked about this before, you know, about the coach, you know, how the coach. By the way, I'm hoping to have my book or journal complete in the next 2 weeks. And I'm speaking on that, you know. But if he hadn't got sick, right, he'd have been an All-Star every year in the NBA. I don't know, you know, he was playing with the Knicks at the time. They weren't, you know, the best team around. The guy I watched him the film today. My grandson was here last week. I showed him a film of us playing. And I have to rewind it back, Ralph, to say, how did he do that? He's 6'5", 6'6", bringing the ball. Hey, the best game you'll ever see in the Garden happened on the Holiday Festival, New Year's Eve night. St. Bonaventure, I was in the Army, but I was home. St. Bonaventure playing Ohio State. Freddie was on the team now. Ohio State.
I remember that tournament. It was Newell and Lucas and Havlicek. That was an incredible team.
They were undefeated going into the Garden. They had Havlicek, Lucas, Larry Siegfried, Mel Noel.
Oh, yes.
and Bobby Knight coming off the bench.
Oh, wow.
They were super
Did
team.
you have any interaction with Bobby Knight?
Say again?
Did you have any interaction with Bobby Knight
over
the years?
No. So they're playing Ohio State, and they triple teamed Tom. They triple teamed him, right? But it was good news. Freddie Crawford got 25 points with them double teaming Tom. So at halftime, Tom told the coach, "Don't worry about the triple team." He got 37 points the second half against Havlicek Gardner, Lucas Gardner, everybody. He was unstoppable. Listen to this. That wasn't his best game. His best game, unbelievable game, the Cleveland Pipers, George Steinbrenner, the owner of the Cleveland Pipers, right? ABL team, LB. We used to play them on our home court, and they were super pro team, and we beat them. And Mr. Steinbrenner decided to have a second game on his home court, right? I'm going to jump to this real quick. We're down by 1, 10 seconds to go in the game. I threw him the ball, and he turned and walked up the court as the ball went in, and we won. That was his 65th point. His 65 points in that game. A scoring machine. He gets 30 like you blink your eye. Connie Hawkins, you mentioned. Connie Hawkins, if he just got in the NBA when he should have got in, he'd have been the GOAT. Unbelievable. If they'd have let him in the NBA, he didn't go in for 10 years. Keep that in mind. And still made Hall of Fame.
Now, you played as a kid, you and Tommy, with the scandals all around you. How did you avoid that? How did you avoid getting caught up in that? Good upbringing, no doubt. But was there any time where you looked at each other and said, wow, look at what's going on?
Well, unfortunately, Ralph, both our parents passed. My father drowned when we were 2. So we didn't have a father, right? You know. And we came to Harlem, and then my mother, around, as soon as we got there, at age 36, her kidneys failed, and she passed away. All right? So it left us with my older sister, 18, younger sister, 16. I was 14, Tom was 12, and a grandmother, my God rest her soul, who was very sick. Social services came to put us in foster homes. Okay? That's what they were all about. And my sister, no, we'll manage. But the neighborhood people helped us out, neighborhoods and stuff like that. Now, what happened was everybody knew our situation, so nobody really bothered us, with the drugs and all that stuff. They knew our situation. They did more help than hurt. The bookies, the 30-cent bookies, right? They would come to us. They came to aid. My junior high school 139, they came to our aid. You follow me? But we didn't know what to do. We don't want to embarrass our sisters by doing something wrong. You follow me? We wanted to stay out of trouble. You follow me? So we wouldn't give them a tough time. We always worked. I always had a job, after school. But we worked, but we didn't want to. We were fortunate again. We had some people that watched. Somehow people just watched out for us. They knew our situation. We know they didn't have any parents, no father, So, but we managed. And my sister said it best. She says, we didn't have anything, but we were happy. And I would have been unhappy and had something. But we didn't have it. But we lived with it. We got through it, obviously, so we didn't want to embarrass them. At junior high school 139, 80% of the teachers there were Jewish in 139, right? They had no troubles. And you know why they had troubles? We had Mr. Feldman, little guy with glasses on like Mr. Peepers, because they were scared of kids by saying, we're going to call your mother if you act up. Now, I didn't have an issue. That means your mother got to take off work. She's working by the hour. You follow me? So nobody wanted to mess with it. So they just told the line, because all this I'm calling your mom, never dad for some reason. You know, we're in Harlem. But we were lucky to escape that. You know, that I had a couple of buddies of mine that succumbed to the point that they died with needles in their arms. And by the way, that also motivated you not to try it. You know, just stay away from it. Well, we were lucky, but it was all over. It was unbelievable, the drugs. And you can see the Lucases and stuff that they have on the documentaries and things like that. But guys like those guys, they really helped the neighborhood also. They didn't take everything. They left some. You know, they gave people food, turkeys they gave out, you know what I mean, things like that. But we were fortunate to escape that. Freddie was in the same situation. We were all in the same. Jerry Harkness, Charlie Scott, we were all was in the same boat.
Jerry Harkness went to Illinois, am I correct?
Who's that, Jerry Harkness?
Yeah. Where did he go to school?
Jerry went to Loyola of Chicago.
Loyola of Chicago, Illinois.
Won a championship.
In Illinois.
Won a championship.
And they came back.
Oh, he was tough.
And played in the holiday festival as well. Jerry Harkness. As a kid, we were in heaven. I mean, school was out. You could, during the holidays, naturally. And we'd see 4 or 5 games a week, you know, and I was impressed. The NIT, looking back, was every bit as strong as the NCAA.
Bigger. It was bigger. NIT was the place you want to play, not the NCAA. The NIT was heaven. Luckily, I played there 3 years in NIT, and Tom played there 3 years. But it was heaven going to NIT. You look, that's your whole season is trying to get to the NIT. That was it.
Right.
That was it.
And not so much, we didn't hear in the Garden, we didn't hear the NCAAs at all.
Zero. You know, the scandal didn't help. The scandal didn't help either, you know, with the NCAA and the NIT. That didn't hit the NIT, hit the NCAA, but, you know, the guys was involved. But the NIT was the school gets so cocky, they put that on their schedule, NIT. You got to win some games to get there, you know. But it was way well known than the NCAA. Now NCAA just took over monopoly now. But, you know, back then, I hold a record in the NIT, Ralph. Okay, most field goals scored in the NIT.
Wow.
I broke, and the guy who had the record was a ball player named Maurice Stokes.
Oh,
and God rest his soul. My God, that guy. Hold on a second. If Maurice Stokes didn't get sick, you're looking at the second coming of Elgin Baylor, right? Maurice Stokes was a dominant ball player and one of the nice guys. You follow me? And in Cincinnati. But if he didn't get hurt, you know, he was averaging like 27, 28 points a game before he went down. And they still can't figure out what happened to him. But that guy was a monster, man. And he was one of the – got to understand something. Back then, you only had 6 minorities in the NBA at the time. And when I was with the Knicks, it was only about less than 20 in the whole league. Keep that in mind. You only had 8 teams by then, you know. Now it's 32, but you only had 8 teams. And you're not allowed to have, you know, maximum 4. It used to be 3. They raised it to 4. It's stupid people, man. Yeah, it's really dumb.
Yeah. I'll tell you, society is just disappointing. That's throughout the years. You would expect more of people than we got.
Yes.
and a tear wells up for those of you guys who whose careers were limited. I mean, the difference between the NBA and these other leagues was incredible money-wise. So I got to ask you one more question. What brought you from St. Francis Prep to college? How did that go about?
Accidentally. What had happened, when we went to St. Francis Prep, right, they took care of us. Remember I told you I was sitting on the bench and I got upset about that, but I was walking through the halls and the principal, Brother Tim, who got us there to start the integration, and he saw me and he said, be patient. And it went right through me, Ralph, when the way he said it. He says, be patient. You follow him? And it went right through me. All right? So now, we're St. Francis, found what college to go to. In order to pay the Franciscans back, we weren't Catholic, by the way. In order to pay the Franciscans back, we wanted to go to a Franciscan college. That was in our minds the whole time. The only problem with the one we wanted to go to was St. Francis College, but they didn't have a campus. All right? So I used to go to lunch with this guy, one of my classmates. He said, by the way, go up and see St. Bonaventure. I said, where's that at? He said, near Buffalo. My brother's a star there, Brendan McCann, who became the number one draft choice of the New York Knicks because he was playing NIT, by the way. So I'm like, so now, Terry McShane, who was a top FBI guy in New York City, he came over to recruit me. He says, why don't you go to St. Bonnie's, right? Take a look at it, right? Now, the other office, you can understand the route. I was getting other offers to go to. Don't forget, I'm a year ahead of Tom. And everybody knew where I go, Tom was going. Okay? I get offers from a college. They said, we like the way you play. We want you to come, provided you bring your brother.
You right? Really couldn't blame him. You really couldn't blame him.
No way. And I'm like this, well, we'll see. You know, I came close to going to Fairfield, to be honest with you, because they were going to take my whole team, you know, and we were superstars, man. My whole team, you know, all the white guys, these guys, by the way, it was just Tom and me in high school. We were 8 deep. We had football players on our squad that played on that football team. You didn't mess with us. We were just not him and me. We had a super team. Guys protect you, knock guys down if they come up the middle, you know, that kind of stuff. And they're not out of Harlem. They're out of Brooklyn. Sort of the same thing away. And so I go up to St. Bonnie's to see the school. And by the way, it was in April, by the way. It was nice green trees and stuff. And met the coach, Eddie Donovan, which is another story in itself.
Oh, we've talked about him. And whenever I think of him through you, I get negative thoughts. That's the best way of putting it.
Well, for some reason, he said, look, I want you to work out against the varsity. You know, I'm like, the workout, I don't need to try out, but I went along and did it. You know, what is this? I got to work out. I didn't have uniforms and nothing. They gave me sneakers and stuff, so I worked out. I killed them. And he says that I'd like to get a scholarship. But he was slick because he was told not to mention it. He didn't make it. He says, you never mentioned Tom's name. He says, I want you because we like the way you play and stuff like that, and you fit into our system. That saying bothers me. You know why? His system, right? The guy was losing 18 games a year. He was a losing coach, and I didn't know until they were firing him before I got there. I didn't know that, right? But what's your system? You losing 18 games a year. Is that your system? That was my thoughts. So I talked to Tom, and he says, we'll go there. We'll go there. We'll go there. He says, and that's how we ended up going up there. And I never regret it. Oh, my God. The best thing God sent, going to St. Bonaventure. And by the way, going a little bit further, no one ever heard of St. Bonaventure, right? They were playing only New York State teams, you know, Iona,
Iona,
Siena, St. Francis College. Niagara had more black ball players than anybody in the country. But people don't realize, because they never publicized that. But Niagara had, you know, reason being, 3 of my closest heroes was at Niagara when I was there. Charlie Hoxie, all of. So we got there, and I did a little damage in the NIT. When the NIT, a little damage, and then when Tom got on the team, it changed the whole situation of the school. We used to do plays, because the type of team we're on, we couldn't score a lot, you know, boom. So when Tom got there, the coach still was doing these dumb plays, Ralph. Tom went along with it, and we're winning. So we're in the garden, the Holiday Festival. We're going to play at Manhattan College. I think Kenny Norton was coaching then. We're going to play at Manhattan College. And I called the coach to the side, and I said, we're in the garden. There's 18,000 people going to be there. Let them loose.
You called Donovan aside.
He said,
right?
I said, let him loose. And he got 50. And
wow.
after that, forget the plays. The players to Tom. He was a hell of a passer, as well as he hit the whole game. He got 50 against Kenny at Manhattan College, and I think at the time was a record. I think Bob O'Neill broke that record 25 years later. But I let him loose, and after that, bam, we went undefeated up until the NIT. Then we ran into. Then he got hurt against St. John's on the play the first half.
Hey,
but
let
right
me
now,
put this. Yeah, I was just going to say I'm still pissed at Donovan. You got him. You and Tom got him his job. He was going to lose the job at St. Bonnie's unless you guys were recruited.
Exactly.
And you got him the Nick job, basically. That's
he didn't recognize that. He didn't think of that. He thought he got it on his own.
And he did you so bad that I mean, I've heard the story from you, and it just it angers me.
I still get angry. I get angry more now than before. I just shug it off, you know. And by the way, I heard players like Wally Jones. Remember Wally Jones played for the 76ers?
Wally Jones.
Yeah, I do. He's got one side out. Villanova. And
he went to high school at the same school that Wilt went. Overbrook High School. He on his podcast, I was doing a thing with him 12 years ago, and he told the audience the only way I was able to go to Villanova because of Tom and Stith, Tom and Sam. They blew that, opened the doors. You understand something? Here's a funny story. Back then, white colleges weren't recruiting black players. I told you, they want to go to black colleges. So all of a sudden, Tom and I started getting recognized through the magazines. Streeter Smith, you may not remember that. Streeter Smith. Oh, I do.
They didn't know that Tom and I was black. They didn't know. Then they saw our picture, right? They saw our picture. Every time you looked around, there was Tom, and all of a sudden, the private colleges started recruiting. Here's the good and bad. They started recruiting black players. Now, what happened with that? It hurt the black colleges. All of a sudden, they're taking their players, follow me, and they're going to private colleges. With one extension, you got to go to class. You get an education first, basketball second. That's what honors were. They don't care about. We come up the road 2:00 in the morning. I'm in class at 8. But it started opening up the door. You ask Walt Frazier, you ever know Walt Frazier and those guys? They remember that what we did. It opened up the doors, the private colleges. Now, let's take Kentucky where they up. He said he would never. He used the N-word. Never had one on my team because they slow. they can't grasp play. I said he'd have rolled over in his grave if he'd have saw Tubbs won the championship. And the whole Kentucky team was black. The guys rolling all the way down the hill in this grave site. But back then, the only thing about going to a Southern college, Kentucky, North Carolina, then Charlie Scott. By the way, Charlie Scott, Jerry Hawkins went to our junior high school, 139.
Oh, really?
And, the Hawkins went there, Freddie Corliss, Bob McCullough. We all went to Douglas. But Charlie Scott took a chance and went to North Carolina, the first, black guy to go to North Carolina. Then it really started, you're kidding, open up doors. Tom and them, when I graduated, Tom and them was invited to NCAA for the first time. And they're going down to Wake Forest to play. Some misunderstanding about this. When they went to a bowling alley where the team would go to eat, they wouldn't let them in the restaurant. Right? They wouldn't let them. They wouldn't. And I always said Billy Packer was the leader, but I found out just last year he had nothing to do with it. But Lenny Chappell, who played, he said, "Look, I want to take you guys." He said, "No, we go." But they wouldn't let him. They wouldn't let him.
Played with the Knicks too.
Wake Forest.
Chappell.
Well, Lenny Chappell, he played at Wake Forest.
But he played with the Knicks later on.
Oh, later on. Nice guy.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't let him in the rest. And then during the game, they only lost by 7, but they refs would blowing whistles, messed them up, the whole 9 yards. That's the first time they ran into racism at the whole time we were playing at Ballers. Never ran any other racism. But it opened up the doors. Next thing you know, Louisville got black players. The whole Southern nation got black players. It opened up a whole. That's our claim to fame, Ralph. I'll be honest with you. And it makes us feel good that we opened up the doors to St. Francis and the league and the St. Bonners. The schedule went from Siena to Cincinnati against Oscar. Maybe we should have stayed against Siena, huh?
Yeah. Hey, the only mistake you made is you what's the word I'm looking for? You had too much integrity, you guys. That I think that leads to problems. Being yourselves. And wow, it is such a pleasure for me to talk to you on a regular basis, Sam.
Ralph,
Thank
it's
you.
It's a pleasure me able to have an audience that can understand some of the things that we have to go through in order to succeed and overcome a lot of things, and it's worked our benefit. I remember we went to, I think I might have told you, we went to our assembly on Thursday with our white shirts on, and the guest speaker was Jesse Owens, and because my teacher knew him, so he was going to give us a talk to the assembly. And he was telling us that, by the way, because of your color, you're going to have major problems growing up. So if you don't think you need education, you better think twice. But he said something to stay with me. He said, if an obstacle is in place in front of you, never go around it. You jump over it or through it, but never around it and face what you're going to be going on. Some of you guys may not make it. You follow me? But right now, you're going to have a tough road, and you got to deal with it. You got to overcome it, because he did. He came back to the United States and couldn't get a job after beating the country, a whole country. He got in. They had him selling coins, Olympic coins, but they couldn't get a job. Same thing happened with Muhammad Ali Cassius. Can't get a job.
Joe Louis, for crying out loud.
Exactly. A lot of it happens. So it's a shame. But I'll be honest with you, a lot of guys, like these players in the NBA is making all this money now, $2 and $3 million, they can't make a foul shot. They still, you think about it. They can't, they average 12 points a game and hold out. They average 12 points a game and hold out for more money. By the way, strong you. But you hit 218 as a shortstop, right? And 2 home runs and 20 RBI, and you go hold out. I don't understand it. We played the game. Believe it or not, we were glad to get paid, but it didn't matter. We were having fun playing. But now, guys, 20 million. By the way, back then the owner said we ain't got no money. I'm sorry. I was with some players 2 years ago at lunch, and we're talking about meal money. I said, yeah, we got $850 a game meal money. He goes, they all look, how much? And they bust out laughing and jumped up on the table, Ralph. I said, what's the matter? $850? We were getting $225 for meal money per day. And I tried to justify that. I said, by the way, hamburgers are 25 cents. The coffee was 5 cents. It didn't matter.
True. That's true.
It's not leaving them. My boys, Steve Colton, they laughed. I go, what's the matter? $850? I said, keep in mind, no car note, no mortgages, no credit card. I couldn't justify it, Ralph. But things for the better. I'm telling you something. For the better. At least go to the gym and take 100 foul shots and get some rebounds, some offensive rebounds. Earn your money. The problem I got with coaching in all sports, and you're very well versed in sports, right? Baseball. Well, you hire a coach to coach your team for one purpose only, to win a championship. That's it. That's why I'm paying you. I'm giving you players, you follow me, hopefully, to win a championship. So after 4 years, you won nothing. Why would I renew your contract? And they do. They renew their contract. And the exception, Popovich, he could coach forever because he won 5 championships. But why I keep paying you and you're not winning championships, or even getting to the finals, at least show me something for my money. You follow me? And the fans keep going to these games. They're paying big bucks, and they're getting inferior basketball. Guys don't know how to play defense. I saw something during the playoffs with the Suns, right? The guy is killing them, and he leaves him to go double team a guy driving to the basket and leave this guy wide open. It's just they have low basketball IQs.
The proceeding has been a Comfortably Zoned network production. You are advised to keep your dreams wet, your humor dry, your children and grandchildren out of military recruiting offices and off the laps of clerics who wear dresses. Thank you for listening, everyone. Happy trails.